I heard literally 20 different voices. Do this, do that, cut meat, don't cut meat, do this, holistically do that. And then it's like so overwhelming. But if you really just simplify it, like reduce stress, get better sleep, meditate, eat quality food, don't have sugar. And I don't want to say you should be good, but I mean, those are like literally massive pillars.
Today's episode is with my good friend, Logan Sneed. Logan is a 6-year glioblastoma brain cancer survivor who has been able to change his life and beat cancer through the use of a therapeutic ketogenic protocol. He wrote the book, Thank You Cancer, talking all about his journey of overcoming brain cancer and how he used it to his advantage, creating the life that he always desired. So Logan's story is super, super inspirational, and his attitude towards this life-changing event is one that I think that we can all benefit from hearing. So in this episode, we chat about Logan's journey through this cancer diagnosis and also dive deep into the mindset and mental side of both nutrition and fitness that I think that we can all relate to. So I really think you're going to enjoy this one. This was a great episode to record with Logan. And before we get into it, I do want to give you a quick reminder that enrollment for my group coaching membership is closing very soon, and it's not going to open up again until next year. So spots are almost filled up, but there are still a few left. So if you're interested in joining and you want to learn more about it, just go to theflexfam.com and you can learn all about the program, reserve your spot there. And yeah, if you have any questions, there's also a place there that you can ask questions, and I will respond to you as soon as possible. And the link to join is in the description of this podcast episode, or again, just go to theflexfam.com. All right, let's get into this episode with Logan Sneed. Welcome back to MINIFLEX and Chill. This is your host, Rachel Gregory, and I'm here with my good friend, even though we haven't talked in a while, Logan Sneed. What's up, Logan? How are you?
Long time no see.
I know. I feel like we were talking off air. It's been like years since we've seen each other. And I feel like we've kind of talked through DMs a little bit here and there. But yeah, I'm really excited to have you on. I want to kind of dive into your whole story, your background. You've been through a lot as a cancer survivor, and you've helped me a lot, throughout the years with my own business and growth. And so first of all, thank you for that. I didn't mention that off air, but you have been so helpful in so many different kind of realms of the way that I've kind of developed my business. And so I'm forever grateful for you for that. But today I want to talk about you. I want to talk about, your story through cancer survival, through your nutrition journey, and kind of just anything else that we want to dive into. I want to chat about your book and all of that. So does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds good. Super excited. I appreciate you having me here. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a long time coming. I feel like this should have happened like a year ago. I know. You're here now.
Yeah. Well, first you got to make your way to Austin. I mean, it's waiting here for you. So
yeah, I know. I know. We talked about that I think I was there. Was it 2 years ago that I was there? We were hanging out. Maybe
Probably,
2 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's drastically changed now. I mean, literally I meet people every day from California, New York, Miami, every day. So.
Yeah. Yeah. My cousin actually lives in California, and she's moving down to Austin.
Oh, wow.
Now too. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people went down there during the pandemic for sure. So
still here.
Yeah. I'll have to make my way there soon for at least a visit.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's just tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself. Let you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about your story, your background, what got you really kind of intrigued into the nutrition side of things, with your own health journey, and, feel free to go on and tell us everything. And then I'll just interrupt you as questions arise.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so for those that don't know, I'm a 6-year brain cancer survivor. I was diagnosed literally almost just over 6 years. So it was like the end of March. And right now we're on 6 years. It was just a random day, March 6th of 2016. I was literally going to the gym. I felt great. It was one of those motivated days. You feel amazing. And I was like, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to prep my macros. I was very macro counter back then. I still do kind of track them. But back then I was going from it was kind of crazy. The one day that this all happened, I went from probably 4,000 calories a day to now 2,000 calories a day, which is so stupid by me. Doing a drastic drop like that in my body, like I didn't really know what was going on. And so anyways, I was driving to the gym, and I was actually FaceTiming my ex-girlfriend at the time in the middle of that. And I started seizing as I was like literally on the phone with her as I was driving. And I started, or like before that, I was like slurring my words. I knew what I wanted to say. I just couldn't get it out there. And she watched me have a seizure while I was driving. And literally, like, I've never had a seizure before, like before that. And put it all together. I mean, like, there's so many factors of why it happened, but I think for that one specific day why it happened is I went from literally an extreme caloric surplus to extreme deficit within like 12 hours. And my body was never used to that. So it was a very drastic swing, but you put it all together. I had a seizure while driving. There was no damage. I drove half a mile unconscious. Then from there, like, they had to go, obviously she knew where I was going, which is good. So she knew that I was actually going to this gym to go work out. So she had the route in which I was going. So she called the ambulance to come get me. Obviously the car was locked, so they had to like break into the car. They had to drag me out of the car. I was still unconscious, so I don't remember any of this stuff. Then my parents come, and they were like questioning my parents, like, is he on drugs? Like, is he drunk? Was he drunk driving? Was he high? Like, whatever. They were like, no, like, I don't think so. So I was unconscious, they say, for like 20 minutes, I think, which is pretty long time when you really think about it. So I go to the hospital, and they had to do, scans. They had to do tests. They had to like ask me questions, and I was still unconscious. And then I woke up. So they did like drug testing, alcohol, everything. They were like, yep, nothing's there. Like, can't find anything. We have no idea. We're sorry. And they were like, but we can do an MRI to see if something's going on like in his brain/nervous system. So they were like, okay. So then it came back, and they were like, yeah, this is a huge mass in his brain. They said that they told my parents, like, yeah, this is a perfect egg basically in his head. So this perfect egg probably needs to be seen by a neurologist or a neurosurgeon, or both. So this is all happening within probably 4 hours. And then within the next 24 hours, I go see a neurologist who knew. The neurologist said, okay, wow, this is serious. It's huge. You've got to go see a neurosurgeon to see what he or she says. So then literally like the next day, I go see a neurosurgeon. And then again, this is all within a 1 to 3 day window. So it's like as if like life was like peak. Like, I was so excited to go get lean, get shredded, like, cause I gained so much weight and so much muscle. And I was like, boom, I was like, perfect. So let's get shredded. And just stupid me just went from 100 to 0 real quick. I didn't 190 and 80. Like, I just went boom, boom. And so the neurosurgeon I saw here, he was like, yeah, it looks at your scan here, pretty serious. I would recommend getting a surgery pretty quick. And we're like, okay, so when do you think that'll be? Well, so I'm going to be on vacation for a week, and then I'll be back, and then we can talk about that whenever I get back from vacation. And we're like, okay, you said pretty quick. I mean, what's pretty quick? What is that definition? Well, I would say within the next 24 to 72 hours probably, but I'll be able to do it when I get back. And I was like, okay, so basically I'll potentially die, and then hopefully you make it back in time. Like, and he was
for your vacation.
Yeah, exactly. And so like, I mean, he also said too, he said, yeah, and if we do this surgery, I just want you to know, you probably won't be able to speak or hear again after this surgery. So basically he was putting a definitive, this is going to happen before it even happened. So we left there. Thankfully, my parents and I were all looking at each other like, what is that guy on? Like, that guy has the most difficult job in the world, but he's not confident with this thing. Like, get that guy fired or something. So anyways, we go see a new surgeon. His name is Dr. Raymond Sawaya. And if anyone wants to look him up, I hope no one needs to see this guy. But if you do, God forbid, look up Dr. Raymond Sawaya. He's known as the top brain surgeon in the world. And so I go see him, and this is within probably 24 to 48 hours. I go see him, and he's at MD Anderson in Houston. And so I said, hey, look, Dr. Sawaya, can I speak or hear after this surgery? Like, if I just want to know, like, is that going to hurt this, help this? Like, what's going to go on here? And he was like, dude, easy. This is going to be easy, man. Don't even worry about your ability to speak or hear. Like, that will not be a problem because I'm going to 100% knock this out the park. Don't even worry about it. And to have like a definitive, don't even worry about it, you're about to go into brain surgery, that's a bold, bold claim. Like that's a super bold claim. And to have the guy say, yeah, worry about it because you won't be able to speak or hear either way. Not even like, oh, I'm going to try to prevent that. He was like, that's what's going to happen. So same job, completely different answers, which is mind blowing. So then he said, but we've got to have surgery like tomorrow morning. So we've got to go through about 12 hours of literally like training right here, right now, and like doing all these tests to have surgery as soon as possible in the morning. So that day I saw him like super early in the morning. And then that's when he just spat out all those things of like, yep, you got to do this, got to do this, do this, do this. So I stayed at the hospital. And if those that don't know, like this cancer center, this is not just a little hospital. Okay. This is like a university, if you will, where it's like literally 10 massive buildings all linked into one. And you got to go from this building to this building to this one to this one to this one to this one. And I was literally running through every single building every hour just to be able to knock all these things out within a certain time window to be able to have surgery the next morning. So I do like brain tests. I do like movement tests. I do like psychological tests. It was so overwhelming for all of this stuff to happen so quick, so fast that I actually passed out in the middle of the hospital. Like I was just actually walking into another MRI and I literally just get up and boom, I just fainted just because of how overwhelming it was. And so they had to like wake me up and they were like brought in like 5 doctors to surround me of like what's happening. They didn't know. So, I mean, of course, what am I supposed to know if they don't know? But again, I just passed out. I was super overwhelmed. But then the next morning at literally, I had to wake up at 5 a.m. Surgery was starting at like 6:30. So I had to get there an hour early. We had to do all our preparation and everything. And just so people on here can like understand what it's like to go into something like that. Imagine as if you're walking into a dark church, okay, a very dark church. There's like all these little aisles and there's that one row walking to the, the top of the church, whatever. And it's as if it's like a funeral church, right? There's like a dead body at the very end. So as I'm walking into this thing at like 6 a.m. in the morning, there's all these like other aisles as you go past it. And it's like family 1 is here, family number 2, family number 3, and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Because there's obviously more than one brain surgery going on at that time. So this family's bawling their eyes out. This family's already got somebody who's about to die. This one's bawling their eyes out. There's this one sleeping. And I'm walking through and I'm like looking like back and forth, side to side. I'm like, what is going on? So weird. It was literally just pitch black. And then I go into the stretcher. They take me into the surgery. It was about 7 hours, I believe. And they woke me up in the middle of the surgery just so they could see if I could still speak or hear. So basically the reason they did this is because it was on the temporal lobe right here. And so that's the speaking and hearing ability in the brain. And so if they were taking it out, and let's say they got 80% of it out, if I could still speak and hear, they were going to keep going and still getting more of it out. Now, if I couldn't, and they got 90% of it out, they'd have to leave the remains in there and cut the surgery short. So I do remember them waking me up. They were asking me questions like, who's the president? Where are you from? What's your brother's name? What's your parents' name? Those sort of things. And obviously it worked. I can still speak and hear.
Yeah.
So after that was a huge relief. And whenever that was all done, I kind of just shrugged it off like nothing was really like bad. I was like, okay, well, I can speak, I can hear, tumor's gone, 100% gone, done. Like, I'm all good. So I didn't really like take much into it. I didn't worry about it. And they were like, yeah, we'll give you the diagnosis in 2 weeks. It's all good. I was like, okay, cool. All good. So like, we went home. I literally had finished the surgery. I was out in less than 48 hours. So I was like, boom, on my feet, roaming around.
Yeah.
But I go back 2 weeks later for the diagnosis. And that's when it got really bad. And that's where she was saying, hey, look, this is a stage 4 glioblastoma brain tumor. This is like the worst possible situation that we could possibly be in. It's a 1 to 10 year life expectancy for you. We'll try chemo. We're going to try radiation, but nothing else that we know of will work for this. But we'll do the best we can. So go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So did they take it fully out, or was it only 90%?
No. Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. They took the whole thing out. So.
Okay. But you still, so even after taking it out, the diagnose, I guess you can continue. I'm interrupting.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it was fully removed, and this is kind of where the confusion comes into play, because the brain is so intense that they cannot get true. I mean, okay. Yeah. They are true definitive diagnoses, but they can't get definitive answers. For example, they removed 100% of the tumor, but they always say that if it's a glioblastoma tumor, that means there's cancer cells possibly in there, or there's no cancer cells. It's just unknown. So they said, yes, 100% of the tumor is gone, but because that was a cancerous tumor, there could be, or there could not be any other cancer cells. We just don't know. So we really can't categorize you as cancer free. So when she said that, I was like, okay, nothing's there, but you still think something could be there. And she didn't say, oh, I think something's there, or, oh, nothing's there. Now, what's still crazy in my mind is that glioblastoma tumors, literally a 1 in a million, will ever be fully removed. Like, it's usually a 50, a 70, an 80, 95, or even a 99% removed, but not 100. And mine was 100% removed. So they could have, who knows? I mean, they said, oh, it's a glioblastoma tumor. One surgeon beforehand said it was an astrocytoma tumor. And so they said it barely made the stage 4 category, but it's in the stage 4 category. So who knows? Maybe they could have over-diagnosed it on purpose, because it may have been like a 3.9 out of 4.0, right? Let's just say 4.0 is now categorized as cancerous. Mine could have been a 3.9, but who knows? So fully removed, which is literally a 1 in a million. My tumor was a perfect egg. So exactly a perfect egg. And usually glioblastoma tumors, I know people who are listening can't really see it, but basically, like, visualize your hand as like the tumor, and then like your fingers as like the tentacles of a tumor. So they remove like maybe the whole like middle part of your hand, but then the tentacles are still there. So they end up forming together to create another tumor. And that's why it's the most like deadly cancer, is that it always builds something else back up. But mine was fully removed, so who knows? So I go through that, and it was like, go ahead. You say, yeah.
No. I was just.
Oh yeah, listening. No. Again, interrupt me if you want, but
yeah. So
like in the diagnosis, there's obviously super hard, because she said you can't do anything, chemo, radiation, all we got. You're, again, 1 to 10 year life expectancy, but who knows? And I'm like, okay, 1 year, okay, that's like 365 days. 10 years, that's 3,650 days. Like, who knows? I'm so confused. So anyways, you put it all together. I ended up discovering the ketogenic diet with one of my friends who told me about it. And this is like, it was literally 6 years ago. No one really knew what keto was. I mean, yeah, there were people who did it, but it was not what it is now, like nowhere near what it is now. So
this was back in, so it's 20, I can't do math, 2016?
Yeah, 2016.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's right when I think it just started to become popular.
Oh yeah.
Or popular as in like, yeah.
Yeah.
In the interest space.
It was kind of crazy because like my friend told me about it. He was like, yeah, there's research that could prevent tumor regrowth or shrink tumors. You should try it out. And I was like, yeah, of course, I'll just try it out. I got nothing to lose, so I'll do it. So I literally just stayed up all night, like till 3 a.m., just like, what is the ketogenic diet? And then I found out about it, and it was like, it can help you get lean. It can help you, get lean, reduce inflammation, beat cancer, starve cancer, like all these things. So I was like, okay, I'm sold. I'll do it. Don't know if I even know if if I don't know what I'm doing, that's fine. So I started it, and then I ended up really posting it on social media because, I started seeing crazy results in my body in the middle of this. And people were like, they thought I was cropping the photos because I was like going through chemo and radiation. I was getting super lean. They're like, what the hell are you doing? Like, I was like, I don't know. It's this thing called keto diet, like whatever that is. And they're like, okay, that's a scam. That's a scam. Like, I've never even heard of that. And I was like, shoot, I don't know. Maybe it is a scam, but it's working. And then like, it really started really ramping up on my social media because everyone else is doing carb cycling. And all these other coaches out there were all about carb cycling. I was like, well, hey guys, I'm doing keto. And everyone's like, whoa, bacon, eggs, avocados okay, I'm down for that. They were all used to chicken, rice, and beans. So they were like so intrigued with this. And I started getting tons of messages, tons of followers, and tons of hate because everyone thought I was like faking this thing. So anyways, then it just kind of really took off. I ended up building my own business around this. It became massively successful. And now I coach people on how to build theirs. And obviously keto is where it's at today, which is way bigger than where it was. So, but yeah, I mean, moral of the story is like, it's all like, I'm still tumor free. I got an MRI like less than a month ago, still nothing there. It's been 6 years and nothing has shown up. So.
Wow. That's an incredible story. I knew like for sure new pieces of it, but I never heard it from like start to finish before. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I do have a question about obviously kind of your approach to keto, back then versus kind of what it looks like now. I know that we've, grown together a little bit in the space. We've gone to a lot of conferences together, kind of evolved through that. I've kind of evolved into this whole side of metabolic flexibility and not really strict keto. But I want to kind of hear like your evolution through, okay, you started keto specifically for, preventing tumor regrowth. And then you saw other benefits from body composition and all of that. So how has that kind of evolved over the last 6 years? Like where are you at now versus where you were at then? And like, what have you learned from both yourself and then also working with your clients?
Yeah. So back then I was like extreme keto. Now I don't recommend everyone doing extreme keto or extreme vegan or extreme really anything. But back then I basically kind of had to, and that's because I had to really prevent seizures. The keto diet was discovered to help prevent seizures. It was like that actually like the cure for it. So I had to really dive into that. And because at an early stage of, tumor being removed and potential cancer cells there, I had to really, really hone in on like the quality of the food, really had to really make sure my blood sugar was not spiked. I really had to focus very hard on it. So about the first 2 years, I was very, very much so 2 meals a day on like literally perfect keto. I did not go eat anywhere for literally 2 years. I did not go out. I did not do anything. I made every freaking meal that I had. Then on year three, I did 1 meal a day. And this was definitely extreme. I don't recommend this, but this was extreme to literally definitely starve any cancer that was there. It was not easy doing that, but I did that. And so I ate 1 meal a day, with literally like perfect keto, macros, everything. And then in year 4, back to 2 meals, in year 5 and 6, I've definitely become more flexible where if I'm now 6 years past this and nothing has shown up, I'm very, very confident it's not coming back. I also just did actually a couple months ago, I did a 5.5 day fast where I didn't eat food for 5.5 days. They say that like, if you're going to do something like that, that your likelihood of getting cancer reborn or cancer regrowth or tumor regrowth shrinks by like 90%, 95%. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this and 100% just knock it out. So I did, it went great, but now I still focus on quality of food. That's always a key for me is quality of food. I'm not back into consuming sugar. So I don't like, eat crap. But I have reintroduced, I've actually gained back about 20 pounds from the time I was like extreme keto to now a little bit more flexible. So I will have, I would say probably about, I'd say 80, 85, I don't know, it's such a random number, 85% of my daily, like out of every week, 85% of my eating is keto. But I have brought carbs back in. I'm more flexible mentally and emotionally. I didn't really prevent myself from like having carbs more because I was like worried about my body. It was more like emotionally. Like I was at a point where I was like, if I eat a carb, I could die. Not that that was a fact. I just didn't know. Now I'm at a point where I'm like, yeah, I can actually have, sweet potatoes. I can have fruit. I can have, whatever. Right. So what I do, for example, today I had I had this meal where it was beef, sausage, eggs, cauliflower, cucumber, sardines, and avocado. But I could also have another smoothie, or I could have a smoothie, after this, for example. at one place I go to, and it has like a banana. So it's like literally everything keto in there besides a banana, and I'll still have the banana. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So more flexible keto, if you will. And honestly, more like carb cycling. I'm not trying to carb cycle. That's just kind of what naturally happens altogether.
Yeah. Yeah. So mostly just focus on whole foods, low sugar, low carb. So I guess this is kind of off, like not exactly on the nutrition side of things, but I want to go back and kind of ask you about the cancer side of things. So for example, if someone's listening to this and maybe they have struggled with cancer themselves, or they have, a loved one who is struggling with cancer, obviously there are so many different types of cancer out there. And it's, some people will hear things, then they'll take it and kind of take it out of context, so to speak, or take it as like the absolute, or, for example, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, like he did keto and his cancer didn't come back, so I'm going to go tell everybody that keto cures cancer or whatever. Can you talk a little bit to that, and like why, like it's important to realize that it's not like a one size fits all, but also maybe talking about some of the reasoning why a ketogenic or a low carb diet can help with, or like what you've seen in the research can help with cancer prevention or treatment, with kind of talking towards the sugar side of things and how glucose, like how cancer cells can feed off of glucose, and kind of diving a little into that, but you don't have to get super sciencey, just kind of some of the practical standpoints of that.
Yeah. So again, it's not a one size fits all. You can't tell 6 billion people to go eat the same thing. It's just not going to work, but if you look at like the variable of, there's a documentary on Netflix recently by Zac Efron, High School Musical guy. And he basically went to this one city in Switzerland, and he said, why do you guys have the longest longevity or lifespan out of any city in the world? How come you guys are always living past 100? What do you guys do? Do you guys eat this? Do you guys eat that? They're like, no, honestly, we eat like sourdough bread, we drink wine, we eat meat, we have cheese, whatever. And they're like, okay, so why? And the moral of the story is they actually live in a natural caloric deficit. And so they say that the human lifespan of people can actually be elongated, or people are more likely to live longer period living in somewhat of a caloric deficit. So if you take it into keto has that ability to make a caloric deficit much easier. And that's why people, end up losing weight. They're like, oh my gosh, I lost weight. It's not because you're in ketosis. It's more because you are not hungry to eat food. So if you're not, you're in a caloric deficit, right? So they also will say that being in a caloric deficit while doing keto can starve cancer and can prevent cancer from coming back. So before I say, go do extreme keto, I would look at being in more of a deficit and naturally doing that. And then you could bring in more of the keto style. But again, don't do it because obviously I'm just saying it. There's so many more variables that come into play for literally, there's again, a million different situations. Like it even can depend on where the tumor is located in the brain. Like literally there's so many variables. But from what I did was I was like, okay, I'm going to take it step by step. I just started keto and I was like, okay, this is what intermittent fasting is. Okay. That's what it does. Okay. I'll do both of those. Okay. Oh, about food quality. Okay. I'll do that too. Okay. And then I'll do this. And again, it's just step by step. And then I understood the moral of the whole picture altogether is just simply quality food, caloric deficit, no sugar, and that's it. Again, I'm not saying, it's going to cure everybody. All I'm saying is like, that's what I would recommend, is looking at the most simple steps of, going into something like that, and not like, oh God, I got to do 20 different things. But that's kind of where I would say. And by the way, one thing too, I overlooked was sleep. Like sleep and stress. Like I cannot tell you guys, like literally every disease is caused by stress. So if you can get better sleep that can reduce your stress, there you go. You're literally like helping yourself so much. So
yeah, I think that's one of the things that's so overlooked, because I thought that that's what you were going to say initially when you were talking about the town or the city that he went to and found like the most longevity, right? And at least from what I've read, it's the communities or the places where the stress is so low that they don't have, they don't have to deal with what we deal with in the modern day. And so it's like one of those things, obviously it's easier said than done, but like finding ways to just reduce reduce your stress, your overall stress. And I mean, I know that at least there's people that I've had that have been, in close family, close friends, that have, had cancer, and they've had, I'm not saying that the stress has caused that or anything like that, but I kind of look at either whether it's cancer or whether it's like strokes or heart attacks, and you kind of just look at their life and their lifestyle, and it's like a combination of really high stress, not good nutrition, not paying attention to just their overall diet and exercise and the simple things, right? The things that are, I always like say this on the podcast, but like the least sexy things, right? That are the most important. And so I think not overlooking that can go a long way.
Yeah. It's, simplify it. I know it's like, I heard literally 20 different voices, do this, do that, cut meat, don't cut meat, do this, holistically do that. And then it's like so overwhelming, but if you really just simplify it, like reduce stress, get better sleep, meditate, eat quality food, don't have sugar. And I don't want to say you should be good, but I mean, those are like literally massive pillars to be good, or at least get better at that. So,
So how do you personally like optimize your own stress management and sleep? Can we talk a little bit about that? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So funny question, so I live right here downtown Austin. So I live like right smack in the middle of downtown, right? People who have done that or know about that, it can be a very go. Lights don't go off, right? It's never dark here downtown. So I actually recently just bought those eye masks for whenever I sleep. And oh my gosh, like it has completely changed the game of sleep for me, like massively. I always thought, I was like, no, it's not gonna be comfortable because I'm very picky on my sleep angle. Yeah, I think we all are, but honestly, like it literally has been, I have to have it now. So it's helped so much. And like, I've noticed a significant reduction in my stress, like massive reduction. So that's one thing, is my sleep. Secondly, for my stress, I do meditation. I haven't done it honestly lately. I've been so go, but I do it in a sense where it's like, I don't need to sit there for an hour and meditate. It can be simple things of like, affirmations to myself, visualizations to myself, talking to myself, those sort of things in a positive way. And I've always visualized like my tumor being in front of me, not within me. So I always kind of like can visualize myself like that, visualize myself looking at my tumor. Because if I'm looking at it, it's not in me, right? So things like that has created like a serious belief in myself that like it is not coming back, and I've really built that. And again, I'm not saying I've got a superpower, but Dave Asprey and all these people have talked about insane stories of people literally fixing uncurable diseases all because of the visualization and their mental belief. So that's a huge thing that I do to reduce stress. And thirdly, like I really look at like the bigger picture of things. I used to be so focused on the future, or I was so focused on the past, and it was just absolutely stressful. And I think a lot of people can be so focused on the future and the past, but they definitely overlook the present moment. And putting it all together, like I have huge goals that I want to achieve, and I know for a fact I'm going to achieve them, but I'm not so like controlled by those goals that my days are stressful because of those goals. They're so much more calm because I know it's going to happen, and I still have the continued work ethic that it's going to happen. So that's literally, seeing it like that has been an absolute game changer. And I make it very simple in that sense. And another one too, is I just listen to my body. I don't like, I used to, and again, it did have a massive benefit for me, but again, I do not condone this for everybody, but I would literally fast. It had to have been 20 hours a day. And that was a very therapeutical style treatment to starve any cancer that was there. Now I'm at a point where I listen more to my body than my mind, on like eating sort of things. Right. So if I'm like, okay, 16 hours are up, I'm fasted for 16, like I'll have this and that's fine, so yeah.
Yeah. I love all that. To go back through a few of the things with the sleep, face mask. I was the same way. I mean, I've been wearing a face mask or a eye mask for probably 5 or 6 years now. Once I started, I was like, this is a game changer. But I was the same with you. I was like, I'm not like, this is going to be uncomfortable. And so I tested out a few different ones and found one that like worked with me. And with the technology these days, like you can just go on Amazon and literally just look at all the different ones out there and test them for yourself. But definitely a game changer. Earplugs, wax earplugs, also game changer. With that too, there is research that shows that we do have light receptors in our ears. So if you wear a face mask, you're obviously covering your eyes, but if your ears are wide open and you live like in the city and you don't have blackout curtains and your room is still lit during the night, you still have, some light can still get through as if it was through your eyes, through your ears. So I found that, I mean, earplugs just to block out the sound has just been a game changer. But then there's kind of that added, like if you get the dark wax earplugs or even just wax earplugs, it can block out the light from your ears as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Sleep. I'm like always looking at ways to optimize my sleep. I actually have it's a sleep checklist. It's like a free download for anybody listening. I believe it's metflexlife.com/sleep-checklist. I'll link it in the show notes, but it basically goes through different categories and kind of like starting at the most basic things and then working your way down. Like once you can check all these boxes, you go to the next category, so on and so forth. So I'm asked, earplugs, if you're struggling with falling asleep and staying asleep from like anxious side of things, a weighted blanket for me has been a game changer. But there's so many different things, right? Sleeping in the cold, like all those things. But the eye mask and the earplugs, I take those wherever I go. If I don't have them, I think sometimes I get nervous because I'm like, did I pack my face mask? Because I'm like, I'm not going to be able to sleep if I don't have this. So now it's kind of like a crutch. So
I know, it's interesting.
But no, and I love what you said about kind of the mindset side of things and the stress management, because that's something that I used to kind of just like shoo off for like a long time. I was like, oh, like it's not in your mind, like those like people who are quote unquote woo woo or whatever, and they do meditation and all that stuff. For a long time, I was like, that's stupid, right? And then I started to actually do that myself, like years ago with meditation, and like you, I've been slacking on a little bit lately, but it does make a huge difference just from even just 10 minutes in the morning. I used to, and I'm getting back into this because it was a routine I did for a while. I had like a red light, and then I did like a little machine. And then I had meditation for 10 minutes, and that's how I started every morning. I've gotten away from it for a while, but bringing it back in, and I've already noticed like such a difference. And it really just comes down to like how I feel during the day in terms of like my awareness of making decisions. So it's not so much that like that 10-minute meditation in the morning, like I really feel anything from that really. I just kind of sit there and just like am there. Right. But I do notice the more I do that, the more I kind of work the meditation muscle and do it consistently, that I am much more aware of like, not getting annoyed by something that happens, or if there's something like outside of my control that I literally have no control over. For example, this just happened the other day, like a flight that was delayed, right? And you're just like, oh man, like this is delayed. It kept getting delayed like 4 hours, right? And I was like, this is so annoying. And then like, right when I said that in my head, I was like, this is so annoying. Like, I just want to be home. I like took a step back and I was like, wait, I have no control over this. So why am I stressing out? Like literally there's nothing that I can do to change this. So why would I let that take my energy? And why would I let that stress me out? Because that's just, then it's like hurting me. Right.
Yeah.
So it's just thinking about those things that are, and I talk to my clients about this all the time, because I have a client, another example, a client, and now I'm rambling on. So
keep going.
I have a client who actually had a head injury from doing, she was skiing a few weekends ago, and she had a little accident and she got a concussion. And so she was like, and still is kind of out of commission. Like she can't even work. She can't work out. She can't train. Her doctors literally told her to just take the whole week off of work. And she's had a stressful time at work right now. And she literally can't work. She can't really even walk like outside because she gets headaches and things. So I'm just like, all right, obviously all of these things are outside of your control. And if you are dwelling on them, if you're like thinking about all the things that you could be doing right now, that is adding more stress, right? That's adding more to your ability to recover in a negative way. And so right now the main focus is rest and recovery so that you can get back to what you're doing faster. And this goes for anything, but I'm like trying to, and I think it helps a little bit, but just talking through like, okay, like what are the things you can control right now? Like, let's list that out. Like, what are those things that are inside your control? And right now she's actually in a fat loss phase. So this was kind of like obviously like dialed in with nutrition and training for a while. So I'm just like, all right, like you can control your nutrition right now. Like you're at home, all day. Like, can you cook? She's like, yeah. Can you like try out some new meals, meal prep? Yeah. All right, let's focus on that and not focus on the things that are outside of your control. And that goes with anything. So yeah, I think with all that being said, it's just the meditation side of things, the bringing more awareness to like every moment throughout your day can be so powerful and just have that kind of domino effect into everything else you do. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. I mean, this is kind of on topic, but like, you're going to get so much advice on how to reduce stress or get rid of your anxiety. You're going to be told, you got to do this, you got to do that, do this and do that. And then it's going to cause more stress. And it's honestly like, I'm not saying to not listen to anybody, but listen to yourself before you go listen to other people. And I'll give you an example. Like I was at actually, was it KetoCon, I think, here in Austin. I'm pretty sure
you were there. Is that the one I was at?
I'm pretty sure.
2019 maybe, or 20.
Yeah, something like that. One of those. Yeah. And there was a lady on there and she was a glioblastoma tumor survivor and she's doing amazing, tumor-free, awesome. And I forget her name, but I asked her and I didn't have a desire to eat, carbs or anything. I was just curious. I was like, well, what do you think would happen if you and I went to go have sweet potatoes later? She was like, no, like that could literally kill us. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, there's a story of a person had a glioblastoma tumor. They ate sweet potatoes and died the next month. No. And I was like, oh God. Like, I just took that as in like, okay, I'm never doing that again. Right. And then it's like, there's other scenarios where it's like, no, like you're like, basically put it all together. It's like, get advice, like hear from other people on what you need to do to fix yourself, weight or stress, whatever, but don't take it as in like a literal, like don't read a book and take it as in like, I have to do exactly what this book told me. Like, I'm going to do 100% what they said. Like, take pieces from it. Don't take it in the literal context, So, yeah, but.
No, yeah, I completely agree. And I think it goes back to anything that we talk about, especially like I'm going to bring it back a little bit to the nutrition side of things, because something just came to my mind. I was on a call yesterday I have a membership group. It's called the Flex Fam. It's all women who are just looking to optimize and their body composition, training, mindset, personal development, all that. And one of the topics that we went through yesterday was nutritional periodization. And so I was using one of the ladies as an example. She's going into a fat loss phase, looking to lose a little bit of body fat. And so I went through an example of how to periodize that over the next 6 months to a year and like kind of reverse engineer versus just saying like, hey, I'm going to, try to lose weight and I'll just do it. Yeah. Instead of that, like my way that I do things is really looking at a long time. Like, where do you want to be in 6 months? Where do you want to be in 12 months? Okay, let's reverse engineer that. Let's add some strategy into it. Right. So with that, there are so many different ways that you can periodize nutrition. And someone asked either in the call or afterwards, they asked me like, what's the best way, right? Like, what's the best way to do this? Like, when should I implement a diet break? Like, what's the best time? When should I, like, how many days should I be training? Or like, how long should I be in this calorie deficit? And I was just kind of thinking, I was like, there's no best way. And I said this, like, there's no one way. When it comes to anything, nutrition, training, whatever, right? There's a saying, principles. I think this is the saying, I might be butchering it, but it's principles are few, methods are many. Have you heard that?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So something like that, where it's like the principle of it, for example, let's just use fat loss, for example, because it's easiest and that's what we're talking about. Like fat loss, for example, the principle is that you have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose body fat, right? That's kind of a known, right? But the method to that is literally, there's probably thousands of different methods to create a calorie deficit, but it's figuring out which one works the best for you personally and what you can adhere to personally, whether that's following a specific type of diet like keto or following a specific nutrition periodization. But kind of just going back to everything that we were talking about, because I know a lot of people listening to this podcast are looking to optimize body composition. Maybe they're in a fat loss phase, whatever. I don't always like to bring it back to fat loss, but those are the questions that I get. I get a lot of questions around that, right? So it's at the top of my mind. But there's so many different ways to do things. It's really just finding like what works for you. And also, like you said, taking some advice from people, but realizing that there is no one way. And there is no best way when it comes to anything health optimization related, whether that is nutrition, training, sleep, stress management, any of those things. So I really kind of how you put that.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know this, but for years I was actually allergic to eggs. And I was like, oh, guys, eggs, 100%, like you've got to have them. But I was like allergic to it. And I couldn't accept it. I couldn't like, I don't know. It never crossed my mind. So again, if like you told me, said, Logan, you got to go eat eggs if you want to really lose this fat and boost your immune system. Like if I did that, but I'm actually allergic to it, it wouldn't make sense. Right. So it's like, what works for you? What food do you like? What can your body like take in? Like, don't eat something that you're allergic to that somebody said was great for you. You know, it's like, what works for you and what can you eat? Like, what can you take in?
Yeah. I'm just curious, how did you find out you're allergic to eggs?
So I had like psoriasis pretty bad. Like my hands would get super red after I would eat. And I was like, what is going on? So like, I did like all these, I was like, okay, no, it's stress. And I was like, okay, no, it's mold. It's like, all right, no, it's like, I don't know. It's just water. It's hot water. It's heat. I'm like, I don't know what it is. So I did a food allergy test one time and I finally got the answer. It was like, I was super allergic to eggs and almonds. And that's like all I would eat every single day. And so, cause I remember looking back at it, like I would have eggs every day, like so many eggs every day. I'm not saying just like 2 or 3. I'm talking like 5 to 10 eggs a day. And so I ate too much of that, which is what I think caused me to become allergic to it. And then almonds, when I was in high school, I was all about weight gain. So I was gaining so much weight and that's all I literally ate was like almonds. I heard it from a bodybuilding coach on YouTube when I was in high school. And he was like, almonds are literally the cheat code to gain size. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I would eat like a fat load of almonds every day. And then obviously now I was allergic to it. So
yeah,
it's funny.
Have you been able to reintroduce them at all, or you still sensitive?
I'm not as sensitive to eggs. I don't have as many. I actually just had like 2 and I'm fine now, but I don't have like massive omelets or really anything like that. And then almonds, I don't really eat nuts anymore. So I haven't really tried that out, but actually I do have there's a place here called The Well. Oh my gosh. If you came to Austin, you'd absolutely love it. Like it's incredible. So they're fully organic. They only use olive oil or like ghee butter to cook. And it's all paleo friendly. So there's no gluten. There's no like nothing in there. It's all gluten-free, paleo friendly. They don't have any dairy there as well. And so like they have the most incredible smoothies. The meals are absolutely like impeccably delicious. But they have a smoothie there that I get called the Recover smoothie. I forget. It's like MCT, almond butter, almond milk, banana, whey protein or collagen, one of the two, and then cacao and something else. Anyways, it tastes incredible and it has almonds in there. So I don't like whenever I have that, I'm fine. Like I don't know if it's like eating an almond or if I just like had it via liquid form. I don't know if there's a difference, but I'm fine when I have it. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. Well, we're coming up on an hour. I did want to chat like just briefly about, and maybe we'll have a second podcast because there's so many questions that I want to ask you beyond that. So I might have to do a part 2.
Absolutely.
Dive into a little bit more specifics. Do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about your book? Just give us kind of a background on it.
Yeah. So it's called Thank You Cancer. It's about my journey overcoming brain cancer. It's basically just like what I just told you all now. It's basically that in a longer form, more in-depth form. So yeah, I love it. It's been doing amazing and people's lives have been changed. If you know people, or if you have cancer or if you know somebody, then even if you don't have cancer, it's really about taking the things that you've been through and turning it into like your strength or like something that's actually been a gift to you. So
I love that. And that's kind of one of the topics that I had on my list to ask you is really dive into like the mindset side of things. So maybe we talked a little bit about that, but maybe we can go into that in a future episode. Awesome. Well, do you want to tell our viewers and listeners where they can find you, social media, website, where they can find your book, all of that?
Yeah, you can look me up on Instagram, Logan Sneed _ feel free to send me any like messages you want or any questions about anything. And then I have a new YouTube channel. So there's 2 Logan Sneed channels. The new one is like has about almost 1,000 subscribers. So that's the new one that I want people to go check out. Not the old one. So
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
All right. I'll definitely link those in the description so people can check them out. Curious
Cool.
why you don't want people to go to your old one. Now I think everybody's going to go to the old one.
Well, I know. Well, it's because it was a straight keto channel, like literally straight keto. So like I mean, I do keto, but I'm not like, that's not what my business is about. It's not like I'm not 100% perfect keto anymore. So like there's a whole new channel on like self-development and more about my story, like developing yourself. Like I just did a 5.5 day fast, so they can see the whole video on that. I did one actually about how I cured anxiety with no medication. So like they can see exactly what I did on that. I have one that's called What a Near-Death Experience Taught Me. So like I'll go through like all of my near-death experiences and like what it all taught me and everything. So it's more like self-development, more mindset, stuff like that. So
wow, awesome. Yeah, and I remember you used to like kill it with the vlogs. And obviously you still do, but like I just remember watching some of your vlogs from your old YouTube channel. Those are awesome. So I'm excited to check these out.
Yeah, it's a grind with the vlog life. These are more like actually like planned out, structured, like very in-depth videos. It's not so much vlogging. It's more like very, very structured. So vlog life is so stressful. But,
I don't know how you did that. I remember I like tried when I came to visit you, like you had your camera on you all the time. And I was in a few of your videos. I remember you were like cooking and stuff. But I tried to do it like, like I remember coming back from Austin. I was like, all right, I got my camera. It's actually the camera I'm using right now. To do this podcast. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this camera with like tripod and like bring it all around. And I literally did it for a day and I was like, what? Yeah, I can't do this.
It is no joke. It is no joke. And I was posting 3 times a week and I was just like pumping it. It was so stressful. So
that is crazy. All right. Well, we'll link your new channel in the description. And if anybody's interested in the old channel, I'm sure they'll find it.
I'm sure they will.
It's funny because the last few podcasts that I've done when I do solo episodes, I'm telling people about my membership group. It's theflexfam.com.
Okay. Yeah.
But you have to put the there because if you go to just flexfam.com, it's like a completely different website. And then I was getting like DMs from people who were like, oh, I went to flexfam.com just because you told me not to. And I was like, oh man, well, dang it. Well, then hopefully you still went to the FlexFam. So they went to both. So whatever. But it's just funny how that works. People want to know. They want to see like what's so bad about this. Funny. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, this was awesome. It was really, really fun to catch up. And thank you so much for your time coming on. And we'll have to do it again sometime.
Cool. Let me know. We'll make it happen.
Awesome. All right. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to that episode with Logan Sneed. I hope you enjoyed hearing his story and hopefully it helped you to put some things into perspective for your own life. I know it did for me. Another quick reminder that my group coaching membership, the Flex Fam, is currently open for enrollment, but it's closing soon. And again, it won't be open until next year. So again, I won't be opening the membership until 2023. So if you're interested in learning more about it, if what you're doing right now is not currently working, you're not seeing results, maybe you're not ready to invest in one-on-one coaching, this group coaching membership is definitely for you. Spots are almost filled up. So again, if you're at all interested in joining, just go to theflexfam.com to check out all the details. The link is in the description of this podcast episode. All right, I'll see you next time.